All right, I might as well get started. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Um, this is the agenda, talking about the budget, the sewer treatment plant, basically wondering what's next for the land, uh, the opioid settlement funds, how should we spend that, fire services agreement with the borough, parking problem on Fountain Farm Lane, zoning hearing board, the upcoming Board of Supervisors meeting, and an announcement I have about something we call Neighbors for Open Government. And then we're going to open it up for an open discussion. So if you have urgent questions, you can ask me on the way. But right now, I guess most of you are on mute. This is my usual disclaimer. So we'll start with the budget, and this is a very interesting graphic created by Notebook LM, which is the AI program of Google. And it gives you a synopsis of the budget. And one of the things I just wanted to point out here was that there is an ending balance of only $2.06 million, whereas last year the balance was over 5 million. Um, the recommended balance should be at least 5 million, I think. But that 2 million falls within the guidelines that the have been set by the Board of Supervisors some time ago. But basically, this budget is what a news report said features a $3.23 million structural deficit. Now, um, there are some notes with these presentations. I can't get into all the details about this budget, so you can read more about it in the notes. But the main uh, problem is this structural deficit. So if you have a deficit of over $3 million, and you only have 2 million in the balance, if there's a similar deficit next year, the township has to find at least $1 million just to cover the deficit. And then it needs another few $1 million for a balance in case there's some problems in you know funding things. So I think next year is really going to be a problem. And this year, the problem that I see is that taxes, mostly the real estate taxes, are going to increase by 30%, whereas the services like road work, construction, repaving is down 25%. So in my view, this you're paying more taxes, but getting less for your money in important areas. This is just a summary of the salaries of some of the major managers in 2026 versus 2025. I get into some details later. The increases were meant to be um, in line with the salary increases of at-will wages. So uh, compared to last year, for example, where the township manager's salary increased, I think on the order like 17%, that 180. This year it's only 3.6%. So uh, that's not an issue, but there is an issue, I think, in spending on things instead of the road work. each department looks like they want to spend a lot of money. And for example, the police department wants four new police vehicles, uh, costing about $340,000. The Public Works Department wants a new dump truck for $205,000. And the administrative department wants to hire a full-time IT director and a half-time HR director. Now, it wasn't really explained to me why these purchases were necessary. For example, when I asked about the dump truck, it was just because the Public Works director thought it was needed. And that's about the only explanation I got. The same thing for IT director. I'm not quite sure what the need is for that. But whatever it is, four police cars, okay, maybe, but an analysis of the police cars that we currently have seems that most of them are in pretty good shape. Maybe you can get away with two of them. So if you eliminate some of these things where I have the crosses, you might be able to, you can pave more roads and perhaps get it up to uh, 2.6 or 2.5 where it was last year. Even that is not enough. We really need to be paving at least 3.5 miles of roads every year just to stay where we are in terms of the amount of roads that need work. The other issue is recently the Newtown Sewer Authority have actually scrapped, it's terminated its plans to build a sewage treatment plant on Lower Silver Lake Road, on a parcel of 17 and a half acres. So now the question is what to do with the land. I recently attended today a sewer authority meeting, and I was informed that part of the process of eminent domain is the sewer authority can offer it back uh, for sale to the people, the companies that originally owned the land. And I think one of these owners was a group owned by Jim Worthington
Mhm.
of the Mack fame.
Huh.
Hello.
Hi, John.
Hi, who's this?
Chet Zaremba.
Okay, Chat, when you can mute yourself if you want, but let's wait until Q&A unless you have something
Oh,
urgent you need to ask.
no, I apologize.
No problem. So anyway, this land recently, I guess a few weeks ago, a letter was sent uh, officially to the previous owners. And according to this process, they have 90 days in which to make a decision whether to purchase the land back at the price they received for it. Now, my thing that I've been trying to say is that the sewer authority had raised our rates by, I believe it was 47%, something in that order. And, I keep on saying like the price of eggs, it's that rate is not going to go down no matter what. So basically, the rate owners own that land, and I would like to see it handed over. It's in the township, but handed over to the township to preserve as open space and for transfer of that to the township for $1. This has been done a long time ago for Silver Lake Park along the bypass there. Uh, the county had sold it to Newtown for $1 on the condition that nothing ever be developed there. And the land that the 17.5 acres that was supposed to be used for this um, sewage treatment plant is not zoned for apartment buildings. which is what I think Mr. Worthington wanted to build there in the first place. So we'll see what happens. And I'd like to keep at the sewer authority to make sure that hopefully this land could be given to the township since we're never going to get our rates lowered. You can quote me on that. The other issue that I have a problem with is how to spend the opioid settlement funds that the township has sitting in its bank account somewhere. It's on the order of $134,000. This is part of the statewide opioid settlement agreement. It has some limitations on how this should be spent. And there's a question whether or not it can be spent on police vehicles. Even so, the Newtown Police Department offered offered this police vehicle as a drug education vehicle. This is not a drug education vehicle. This is a pursuit vehicle. It's loaded with all kinds of things for $110,000 that are geared to catching criminals, which is fine, but it is not a drug education vehicle. I think there are many better ways to spend this money. And by the way, why does the police want this vehicle? Well, it just so happens they have a similar vehicle that, has a problem, and they obviously would like to replace it. And that's the only motivation I can see for offering this as a drug education vehicle. It's really a joke. I list here some allowed uses for the opioid treatment funds, and I hope in the future that there's some kind of a public meeting where the public can weigh in on how that money should be spent, and not just the departments like the police department asking for something like this. The fire services agreement, I don't know if you've been following this, but there was a 3-year agreement with the borough, between the borough and the township, in which the borough would pay the township a certain amount of money. I think at the end of this year it was $191,000, something on that order. And the township wanted to renegotiate that at a higher fee. And I do have a deep dive podcast. You should listen to this. And this is the timeline that was provided by one of the supervisors who are involved in negotiations with the borough. The borough is crying foul in a patch article saying, "Oh, now they want 350,000. It's okay. We'll do the 275." Well, it just so happens that the state has different numbers for how much the borough should be paying for fire services from the township. We have a professional paid fire force. Costs a lot of money. So the state average, it has several estimates based on different, number of calls per unit cost and so on. But they estimate the borough should be paying over 500,000 each year for these services. And I just present the data here from the report from the government agency that handles this. There's more information in the notes. We just don't want to get into all that right now. The next thing that Chet is here for, I'm sure, to learn more about or talk more about, and we'll be able to do that in the discussion that follows, is about the Newtown Gate parking situation on Fountain Farm Lane. There's a history here. I went through this at the last Meet Mac Monday meeting last month, so I don't want to have to go through all that again. It's in the notes. But basically, recently, the Newtown Gate HOA requested from the township these bullet items here. And most importantly, they requested a township-funded professional traffic engineering study. The Board of Supervisors voted 3-0 to authorize the township engineer to review existing traffic conditions on the lane as a first step. The reason why it was 3-0 because I think that was a meeting where the two other supervisors were not present. And according to the engineer's report, which of course citizens don't have a right to see, it seems. But it says RVE, which is our engineering company, is currently evaluating the parking concerns and layout of Fountain Farm Lane. RVE will provide the township with a memorandum following the initial evaluation. That was in last week's engineering report. So unfortunately, the engineer will not be present at tomorrow's Board of Supervisors meeting where I can ask more questions, but I'll try to do that by email, and maybe Chet will help me out later.
Okay.
Uh, Chet, did you want to say something?
No, 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 no. We had our board meeting last night and we discussed this, and we're just waiting. This is the initial step. Sounds fine to me. Just
Okay, great. So hopefully we'll hear more about that.
right.
The zoning hearing board had an interesting meeting, and one of the most interesting things on there was this Mack sign, which the zoning officer has sent them a letter saying they were in violation. And we had to go back through 6 years to figure out, well, what the hell went on over here? And again, this is Notebook LM, the AI program of Google. I fed into it the audio recording of this hearing, the zoning board hearing, and this is what it came out with. It's tremendous. I mean, you don't have time to read all this now, but like I said, this is going to be handed out to you after the meeting. But in any case, the zoning hearing board denied the NAC request to okay this sign, which was supposed to be facing Penn's Lane, Penn's Road, whatever it's called, and not facing the bypass. And it currently is at 45 degrees facing the bypass. And so the zoning hearing board denied their request for a variance, and remains to be seen what is going to happen next with the sign. But basically, I think they have to remove the sign. The two other things, important things that were supposed to be at the zoning hearing board hearing a few days ago was the window etching from the Melange restaurant on North Sycamore Street. The only image I have is the one of the back window here, but there are like six more in the front facing North Sycamore Street. And according to the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors, these are illegal. The maximum number of signs should be only two, and now they have nine. So, but the problem, it goes beyond the signs. It goes to HARB, which is the um, uh, Architectural Review Board, which is the historic district, has certain requirements to maintain the historic nature of that section of town. And one of them happens to be double hung windows. The windows they installed in the front are single hung windows, like this one that you see here. So they got rid of the double hung windows without any permit to do so. They got rid of a few things in the back of the store without permission, and they have a cease work order in effect now. And they really need to go back to the Architectural Review Board to work out not the number of signs. The Architectural Review Board does not care about the number of business signs. They care about preserving the historic architecture, namely the double hung windows. So they have to go back there and get some more input from Harb on what they should be doing. This is a would be about the third time they were scheduled to go before Harb, and they just refused to abide by the zoning. Basically, they just went ahead and did what they wanted to do without any permission at all. So their meeting before the zoning hearing board has been rescheduled for February 5th. Um, and I'll no longer be a supervisor at that time, but I'm going to be continuing to cover these meetings and report back to my subscribers. The other one was this First Trust Bank. They wanted this sign on Durham Road outside facing the traffic. And to be They also have a nerve because they already have three signs. You see one up at the top of the building here on the back side of the building. Then if you go around to the front entrance, there's another sign on the front of the building. And then if you go through the drive-through, you'll see another sign. So now this would be the fourth or fifth sign. I'm not sure, but in any case, they crapped out and decided to forget about it, and they didn't show up at the meeting. Good for them. Now, the next thing and the last thing for me this year as an official supervisor is to attend tomorrow's Board of Supervisors meeting. There'll be some kind of supervisor service recognition. I don't know, maybe they'll give me a plaque. Me and Dennis Fisher decided we're not running again, and so we'll be leaving. And I had ChatGPT write out a farewell address, which is beautiful, just beautiful, as some people might say. In any case, the main show is going to be the 2026 budget adoption. And the new tax rate is going to be 17.1 mils, real estate taxes. And that's mainly what's on the agenda. Um, I want to point out that again, uh, the taxes are going to increase by 4 mils. So 3 mils are going to be going specifically to the fire rescue services, and an additional mil is going to the ambulance emergency services. Nothing, no mills, no more money is going into the general fund, which is generally used for things that support generally things like the road work and so on. And I have really a problem with this budget. I mentioned all this before, and you can guess how I might be voting tomorrow. But one thing I'd like to say is, yes, this would be my last meeting as a supervisor, and these are some of the things I plan to do in my so-called retirement. And you'll see that it's public comment. Well, I'm going to go beyond that, and I've been talking to some other residents about what we are calling Neighbors for Open Government, NOG. And I again asked ChatGPT, I describe what we want to do. Mainly, we want to make our government more transparent and give citizens the right to view certain documents that are hidden from them so that they can make better comments and understand at public meetings, for example. And so this is goes to the mission statement. There's a lot of things in here we can talk about. I don't want to get too much into detail about this. Um, so our core principles is it's nonpartisan, I think, should be. We are going to be pro-transparency, but not anti-government. we want to do things like make some of these documents available to people. Like, for example, the bills list. Have you ever seen a bills list? No, you haven't. How about fact-based and civil discourse, collaboration versus confrontation, and to focus on local issues only? We're not concerned about, in this group, about national politics. Oops, I'm going backwards here. And did you know that the patch has this best of 2025? And it said you can nominate a person, not just a business. So, why not nominate me? I don't know. I'm just leaving it up to you. Do what you want. And here's a list of reading material. As I said, this presentation is going to be made available to everybody, so you don't have to read everything and write it all down. You'll get it in email, a link to it. And now it's time for open up to questions.